Hello, and welcome back to the Programming in Ninox training series. For the next 3 classes, we're going to focus on some of the common and most popular functions in the Ninox language. We're not going to go over every single function, but we're going to highlight those that are used most often in programming and design of our Ninox systems. This class is going to focus on mathematic or numeric functions. In the next class, we'll look at text functions, and in the third class, we'll look at date functions. As we've mentioned previously, functions are tools that we can use to transform, modify, or manipulate content in our Ninox database fields. Here we have 4 fields, 4 numeric fields, which we'll refer to as B1 through B4, or number 1 through number 4. The first 2 values are formatted to 8 decimal points. The third and the fourth value are simply integers with no digits to the right of a decimal point. Now, when we talk about numeric functions, we can break them down essentially into 4 areas: mathematics, statistical, evaluative, and format. Our most common mathematic functions are the sum and the average, and the ability to raise one number to the power of a second number. The format, the syntax for all of the functions is identical. The sum function is simply the word sum, all lowercase, and then a list or an array of values that we wish to add together. The average function similarly takes a list or an array of values, comma separated, and takes the average, all lowercase avg, of all of those values. And the ability to raise one number to the power of a number, the ability to raise the value of base number 3 to the value of base number 4, or the ability to raise 10 to the second power, 10 times 10 is 100. If we change the base value of 3 to 15 and change this to 4, we'd get 50,625 because 15 raised to the 4th power is that value. These are the most common mathematic transformations: adding them together, getting the average, or raising one number to the power of another. Then we move on to our statistical manipulations. And the most common are the ability to round a number to a certain number of digits, or just cut it off to the highest or lowest integer. To determine the absolute value of a number, irrespective of whether or not it's positive or negative, whether or not a number is the min or the max, the minimum or the maximum of a series of numbers, and finally the ability to have Ninox simply generate random numbers. Again, the functions are very simple. We type the name of the function, and in this case, for the round function, the value that we wish to round and the number of digits to the right of the decimal place to which we're rounding. So in this case, base value 1 has 8 digits to the right of the decimal point, but because we're only rounding it to the first 4, we see it cut off at 2165. Ceiling and floor are a form of rounding, and what they do is they simply take all of the digits to the right of the decimal point and eliminate them. If the value of base value 1 was 45 with those 8 digits, the floor value is 45. The ceiling is 46. So you're really rounding all the way up to 0 decimal points using the ceiling function, which looks like that, and you're rounding all the way down with 0 decimals to the base lowest value when we use the floor function. The absolute value gives us the numeric value of a field irrespective of positive or negative. So if the value of field base value 1 was minus 10, then the absolute value would be 10. Absolute values are always positive, and we use ABS and the single parameter, in this case base value 1, to determine the absolute value. Min and max are the lowest and highest values in a range or array of values. So in this case, we have this comma-separated list of 4 numeric fields with the keyword min, min. And that's telling us that in this case, base value 1 is the lowest value among these 4. And the max value is exactly the same thing. It will pull out the highest numeric value out of a list or an array of values and present it in the field. The random number generator is one of those few numeric formulas or functions that takes no parameters. It's simply the word random with a left and right and open and close parentheses. And the random number generator will deliver a value with 17 digits to the right of a decimal point. If you want to have whole numbers, or you want to control the random number generator result, you can use some of these other functions. For example, I could go into the random number generator and say, give me a random number, multiply it times 50,000, and then take that number and reduce it to the lowest integer. And that, in this case, would give me 26,780, which is a random 5-digit number that has no digits to the right of the decimal point, because we've gone to the floor. One of the things to remember about the random number generator is it will change its content every time the record changes. So watch what happens to the random number generator when I change the value of base value 3 to something else. We got a different random number. If I change base value 1 to something else, we get yet another random number. Random numbers are the result of a formula, and the formula will recalculate every time anything in the record containing the random number generator changes. So these are our most popular statistical manipulations or interrogations of numeric fields. Then we have the ability to evaluate a series of numbers. In this case, we have the even evaluation. And this is really asking a question. Is the number in the field base value 3 an even number or not? And it's not. Base value 3 contains the value 5. 5 is an odd number, so no, it is not even. This is the question. Is the value in the field base number 3 odd? And of course, the answer is yes, because 5 is odd. If I replace a 5 with a 6, watch what happens to our even and odd fields. They change, because now base value 3 is yes, even, and no to odd. We also can combine functions to determine if something is this or that. For example, is the value in the field base value 1 equal to the maximum value of all of these 4 numbers? And the answer is yes. The value in base value 1 is the maximum value amongst all 4 of these. If, however, base value 4 went up to 100, then the answer would be no. Base value 1 is no longer the maximum value. So evaluative or evaluations result in a yes or a no when we're asking questions about numeric fields or a series of numeric fields. And finally, we have the formatting function. The formatting function allows us to change the appearance of a value in a numeric field. For example, here we are going to take base value 1 and format it so it has only 3 digits to the right of the decimal point. The format function always takes 2 parameters, the number being reformatted and the picture of what the new format should look like. there should be a decimal point to the right of the last integer, and there should be 3 numbers to the right of the decimal point. This gives us the transformation of this number into that number. If I wanted to format this value, which has 8 digits to the right of the decimal point, in the standard of US dollars, then I would format it this way. The base value is the first parameter. The picture of what I want it to look like is the second parameter, and the word format in all lowercase is the function that makes it happen. Format this number to look like that picture. These are our most common numeric functions. In our next class, we're going to look at text functions. I'll see you there. Visit us at www.nioxis.com. Here you can learn about different Ninox solutions. You can get tech support through our Ninox help desk, which is available 7 days a week, or you can schedule private one-on-one concierge sessions for training, or we can help you build your application. And if you haven't done so already, sign up for our free Ninox Learning Lab. We do this every Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. in the UK, 6 p.m. Central European Time. These free hour-long sessions enable you to learn more about Ninox, features, functions, and solutions. We have open Q&A where you can get answers to all your Ninox questions, and you can meet other members of the global Ninox community. We look forward to seeing you there.